What's up everybody, it's Parker with BI Elite. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can calculate the percent of subtotal. I was working with the new decomposition tree visual and I realized there wasn't a great way to see the percentage of the previous level of the hierarchy. So for example, this is the finished solution. So as I drill down, let me go back to the first level here. So as I drill down into retailer type, you can see I'm showing that my outdoor shop makes up 33.6% of my sales. But if I want to drill into that, and I want to drill into the product line category, I see that I want to show basically 40% of that 33.6% is made up by personal accessories, 30% is made up by mountaineering equipment. So you can see this is actually taking kind of the parent level and using that as 100%. So for example, mountaineering equipment, if I were to drill into that for country, you can see that now I'm looking at the percentage of the retailer country that makes up my original 30%, which only makes up my original 33% of outdoor shop. So this is actually a little bit more difficult to achieve than I was hoping because the decomposition tree visual out of the box only allows you to see the percent of the grand total. So I'm going to show you what that actually looks like. So if I were to open up my fields here, and instead of using my nice measure, I'm going to use just my revenue column instead. So you can see by default it shows the revenues, but if I want to change this to percent of grand total, I'll go to show value as percent of grand total. And you see this is what it does out of the box, which isn't exactly as cool in my opinion. So my grand total revenue at 100% in the beginning, then I break it down by retailer type. So we have our normal 33.6% for outdoor shop. Then you see as I break it down into product line, you see personal accessories is only 13.4%. So actually the sum of all of these percents is what makes up the 33.6%. So using that example, I would rather see my percent revenue to see of my product lines what percent is making up that 33.6%. As a reminder, make sure you check out the blog post. I posted this exact same trick in blog form over at the BI Elite blog, so make sure you check out that link down in the description. So basically 40% of my 33.6%. So I'm going to go ahead and walk you through how I did this. It's just one custom measure. I've done it in my revenue percent measure, and this is the entire code for that measure. This may look like a lot, but it's really not too hard once you get your mind wrapped around it. So in the first two lines, I am grabbing the filters on my retailer type and product line columns. So for example, you see that retailer type is the first level of my hierarchy, product line is the second. So I'm getting the filters for those first two levels of my hierarchy. If my hierarchy were 5 levels long or 5 levels deep, you'd want to grab the first 4. The last one does not matter. And then I'm creating a variable for my revenue for current selection. That's simply the sum of my revenue column. So that's like, let's say we're looking at our personal accessories product line here. That's the sum of sales at that level. So this doesn't have anything to do with the previous level or anything. It's just the sum of the sales of the current selection in my visual. So that's actually really easy. And then I have another variable called total revenue. It's a switch statement since there are multiple clauses that I need to evaluate for. So I'm evaluating for true. The first clause says is in scope retailer country. And if retailer country is in scope, I want to do something. So this long calculate is, a custom calculation here, but I want to focus on the is in scope. So is in scope for retailer country. Basically, let's do a quick test. Let me go ahead and comment that out. And I'm just going to show you what this looks like. So if is in scope retailer country, I'll return a 1. If it's not in scope, I'll return a 0. So changing that return, you can see what this is going to look like. So we see that for retailer type, product line, everything's a 0 because retailer country is not in scope yet. If I expand this out and drill down to retailer country, you can see that my retailer country is in scope when retailer country is in view. So if I were to change my measure to instead look for, let's say, product line, see if product line is in scope, return a 1, else return a 0. You can see that product line returns a 1 and retailer country also returns a 1 because it is in scope from the parent level of the hierarchy. So using that kind of method, we are able to determine what level we are at in the hierarchy. So if we go back up here and look at our switch statement, so we're starting with the lowest level of our hierarchy, the retailer country, so that's the bottom level. If that's in scope, I want to calculate the sum of my revenue. I want to use all selected sales to remove all of the filters on my sales table. And then I want to put back on a couple of filters. I want to specifically say the retailer type is my retailer type that I grabbed in the variable. And I want to say my product line is in my current product line that I grabbed from my variable. So the final piece here is in the return, basically saying if is in scope of the retailer type being the first level of my hierarchy. So if we are at the first level of my hierarchy or deeper, we want to return divide revenue for current selection, which is just the sum of revenue, divided by our total revenue, which depends on the level of the hierarchy, else return 1. 1 is 100%. So in the first level of my hierarchy, it's going to show 100% and then break out into the specific percentages. So again, outdoor shop, 33.6%. Then we can go down to camping equipment, which makes up 30% of that 33.6%. And then the United States, for example, makes up 15% of my 29.44% of my 33.6%. So all that, and you're able to get to this kind of visual with the decomposition tree visual. You can also make this a matrix very quickly in case you're kind of here to figure that out. So if I turn this into a matrix, you might get some errors. So I'm actually just going to start over. So if we take our matrix and we throw in the same levels of our hierarchy, which were retailer type, product line, and retailer country, and our revenue percent field goes in the values. Product line actually needs to go back up to rows. So yeah, you can kind of see the same functionality here. So I'm going to sort by revenue percent. So we see outdoor shop, that same 33%. We can drill into that. We see our product lines that make up that 33%, and then we can even drill further into camping equipment and see what makes up that 29%. So pretty cool way to visualize percent of subtotal as opposed to percent of grand total, since that kind of can fall short for us in certain kind of visuals. Hope you like this video. Make sure you check out the blog over at bilead.com, link down in the description. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the blog, and I will see you in the next video.